New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Munun Bhattacharya. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gives a defiant speech at the United Nations, condemns recognition of a Palestinian state by several Western countries and vows it won't happen. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar joins G4 counterparts at the UNGA, reaffirms push for UN Security Council reforms. EAM also attends G20 Foreign Ministers meeting in New York. And in Asia Cup, India to face Sri Lanka in Super 4. Last game today in Dubai. Men in blue set to face Pakistan in mega clash in the final on Sunday. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivered a speech at the United Nations General Assembly on Friday. In his speech in New York, Netanyahu said that Israel must finish the job in Gaza as fast as possible.
Israel rebounded from its darkest day to deliver one of the most stunning military comebacks in history. But we're not done yet. The final elements, the final remnants of Hamas are holed up in Gaza City. They vow to repeat the atrocities of October 7th again and again and again, no matter how diminished their forces. That is why Israel must finish the job. That is why we want to do so as fast as possible.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar participated in the G4 Foreign Ministers meeting held in New York alongside his counterparts from Japan, Germany and Brazil. The ministers reiterated their long-standing demand for comprehensive reform of the United Nations, particularly the UN Security Council. Dr. Jaishankar, in a post on X, said, and I quote, "Glad to join the G4 Foreign Ministers meeting along with colleagues Takeshi Iwaya, Johan Vadeful and Mauro Vieira in New York today." G4 reiterated its commitment to reforming the United Nations, including the UN Security Council. It also assessed the current state of the intergovernmental negotiations IGN process, unquote. Earlier, Dr. Jaishankar called for zero tolerance towards terrorism and urged the international community to avoid any form of accommodation or indifference to terrorist activities.
A persistent threat to development is that perennial disruptor of peace, terrorism. It is imperative that the world display neither tolerance nor accommodation to terrorist activities. Given the extensive networking among terrorists, those who act against them on any front actually render a larger service to the international community as a whole.
Speaking at the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting in New York on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, Dr. Jaishankar referred to ongoing conflicts like Ukraine and Gaza. Jaishankar said that such geopolitical tensions directly impact global energy, food and fertilizer security, especially in the global south.
Our focus today is on the correlation between international peace and global development. In recent times, that is well established, as both deteriorated in parallel. The costs, especially to the global south, in terms of energy, food and fertilizer security, were starkly demonstrated by ongoing conflicts, particularly in Ukraine and Gaza. Apart from jeopardizing supplies and logistics, access and costs themselves became pressure points on nations. Double standards are clearly in evidence.
The EAM further said that the global peace and development have seen a parallel deterioration in recent times.
This can certainly enable development, but by threatening development, we cannot facilitate peace. Making energy and other essentials more uncertain in an economically fragile situation helps no one. Therefore, the way out is to move the needle towards dialogue and diplomacy, not in the opposite direction, towards further complications.
US President Donald Trump unveiled sweeping new import tariffs, including 100% duties on branded drugs and 25% levies on heavy-duty drugs, set to come up into force next week. The latest salvo, which Trump said was to protect the US manufacturing industry and national security, follows wide-ranging duties on trading partners of up to 50% and other targeted levies on imported products such as steel. It's the latest upheaval for global businesses already struggling with snarled supply chains, soaring costs and consumer uncertainty caused by Trump's trade tirade. The barrage has cast a pall over global growth, while the Federal Reserve has said it is also contributing to higher US consumer prices. Trump's announcement on Truth Social did not say whether the new levies would be on top of the existing national tariffs. Recent trade deals with Japan, the EU and Britain include provisions that cap tariffs for specific products like pharmaceuticals. US President also said that the United States would give proceeds from tariff revenues to farmers.
And we're going to take some of that tariff money that we made, we're going to give it to our farmers, who are for a little while going to be hurt until it kicks in, the tariffs kick into their benefit. So we're going to make sure that our farmers are in great shape because we're taking in a lot of money. We're finding, the other day, it was very interesting, they found 31 billion.
Meanwhile, the European Union and Japan expressed confidence on Friday that they had secured limits on US tariffs on pharmaceuticals. The European Commission referred to a joint statement agreed with the United States following its end July trade deal. It states that the tariff for pharmaceuticals, semiconductors and lumber would not exceed 15%. Japan also referred to its joint statement with Washington, which said that US tariff rates on Japanese semiconductors and pharmaceuticals would not exceed those applied to others, such as the European Union. India has strongly rejected NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte's claim of a phone call between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Ministry's spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal clarified that no such conversation ever took place, calling the NATO chief's remarks factually incorrect and entirely baseless.
We have seen statement by NATO Secretary General Mr. Mark Rutte regarding a purported phone conversation between Prime Minister of India and President Vladimir Putin of Russia. This statement, let me clarify, is factually incorrect and entirely baseless. At no point has Prime Minister Modi spoken with President Putin in the manner suggested. No such conversation has taken place. We expect the leadership of an important and esteemed institution like NATO to exercise greater responsibility and accuracy in public statements. Speculative or careless remarks that misrepresent the Prime Minister's engagement or suggest conversations that never occurred are unacceptable.
Kremlin on Friday declined to comment on a Bloomberg report claiming that British, French and German diplomats had privately warned Russia that NATO is prepared to shoot down any Russian military aircraft violating European airspace. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov called the alleged warning very irresponsible and said Russia would not respond to what he views as groundless accusations.
You know, I don't even want to talk about it. It's a very irresponsible statement. It's very irresponsible because accusations against Russia that its military aircraft violated someone's airspace and intruded into someone's skies are groundless. No convincing evidence has been presented. We insist that our military aircrafts make all its flights strictly according to international rules.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced on Friday that Britain will roll out a mandatory digital ID system for citizens and residents starting new jobs. Aiming to tighten immigration controls and prevent illegal work, the digital ID stored on mobile phones will become a required part of employer checks by the end of the current parliamentary term. Over time, it will also be used to access services such as childcare, welfare and tax records.
And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. Because decent, pragmatic, fair-minded people, they want us to tackle the issues that they see around them. And of course, the truth is, we won't solve our problems if we don't also take on the root causes.
Let's now take a look at some other stories making news around the world. Freight train and a truck collided at a railroad crossing in Smolensk region of Russia on Friday. Several rail cars derailed as a result of collision. 8 of them caught fire and more than 40 firefighters responded to the scene. The truck driver killed in the crash and no other casualties have been reported. The Hong Kong Legislative Council passed a law on Friday to regulate the size and living conditions of subdivided rental flats, with registrations set to begin in March next year. Secretary for Housing Winnie Ho stated that flats with the poorest living conditions can be gradually phased out. She also assured the public that rents are unlikely to rise significantly once landlords upgrade their flats to meet the new standards. A member of the Irish rap group Kneecap won his bid on Friday to have his terrorism prosecution dismissed for allegedly displaying a flag of Hezbollah, the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group, after a London court ruled that the charge had been filed too late. Orthodox priests stood at the center of an alleged Russian attempt to influence voters ahead of Moldova's parliamentary elections this Sunday. The Moldovan government, long accusing the Kremlin of election interference, accused Moscow of directing priests from the Russian Orthodox Church to steer voters towards pro-Russia parties. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Indian Air Force bids farewell to its iconic MiG-21 fighter jets. The 64th edition of Subrata Cup concludes with a grand closing ceremony in New Delhi.
Many cities in India still carry forward the wonderful legacy of a glorious past. These ancient cities were once center for power, culture and religion. Revisit them in our special series. Forever Cities starts with Patliputra on Friday, 26th September at 8:30 p.m. IST.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. In a bid to strengthen not only strategic but also cultural ties with India, the Russian House in New Delhi on Friday hosted the 20th Dialogue of Cultures Forum. Russia underlined that amid global uncertainties, cooperation and dialogue among journalists and media institutions of both countries are crucial. The event was also part of the series commemorating the 80th anniversary of victory in World War II. The keynote address was delivered by Mr. Ashot Jazoyan, Secretary of the Union of Journalists of Russia and Chairman of the Commonwealth of Journalists Media Congress. On the occasion, an art exhibition was also held featuring works of Indian artist Nishant Kumar Meena. Cultural diplomacy and people-to-people exchanges were highlighted as vital pillars of India-Russia relations. The Indian Air Force on Friday bid farewell to its iconic MiG-21 fighter jets after a service span of 62 years. The final two MiG-21 squadrons, the number 23 Panthers and the number 3 Cobras, which together operated around 36 jets, retired in Chandigarh during a decommissioning ceremony. The MiG-21 fighter jet received a ceremonial water cannon, marking a symbolic end to its 6-decade-long tenure. The fact that the Soviet-era fighter, with its checkered history, has remained in service for so long is testimony to its enduring capabilities in the front line of the Indian Air Force. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh attended the event and paid tribute to the aircraft's legacy. In his address, the minister lauded the MiG-21's countless heroic efforts during multiple conflicts and operations.
इतने लंबे समय तक MiG-21 अनेक वीरतापूर्ण कृत्यों का साक्षी रहा है। इसका योगदान किसी एक घटना तक या केवल एक युद्ध तक सीमित नहीं रहा है। 1971 के वार से लेकर कारगिल के युद्ध तक या फिर बालाकोट एयर स्ट्राइक से लेकर ऑपरेशन सिंदूर तक ऐसा कोई क्षण नहीं रहा जब MiG-21 ने हमारी आर्म्ड फोर्सेस को जबरदस्त मजबूती न प्रदान की हो।
The minister also said that MiG-21 is not only an aircraft or machine but also proof of deep India-Russia ties.
MiG-21 केवल एक एयरक्राफ्ट या मशीन भर ही नहीं है, बल्कि यह भारत और रशिया के बीच गहरे संबंधों का एक प्रमाण भी है। साथियों, एक तरफ तो मिलिट्री एविएशन का खुद का जो इतिहास है वह अपने आप में इनक्रेडिबल है ही, दूसरी तरफ MiG-21 ने मिलिट्री एविएशन की जर्नी में कई और प्राउड मोमेंट्स यानी गौरव के क्षण जोड़े हैं।
In a historic final flight, Air Chief Marshal A.P. Singh took to the skies in the last MiG-21 sortie, flying with the call sign Badal 3. The aircraft belonged to No. 23 Squadron, famously known as the Panthers. From Nal Air Base in Chandigarh, the Indian Air Force salutes a legend for one last time. The MiG-21, India's first supersonic fighter, wasn't just an aircraft, it was the symbol of a young nation's confidence, a fearless guardian that carried the Air Force into the jet age.
Inducted in 1963, India ordered a total of 874 MiG-21s of different variants, making the aircraft Indian Air Force's backbone for several decades. The MiG-21, with its Mach 2 speed and versatility, defend, strike and scout. It bridged the gap from propeller-era fighters to modern jets and trained generations of Indian pilots in supersonic combat.
As we listen to the experiences of those who lived and breathed this machine, we will try to capture not just the history of this aircraft, but the story of an era that shaped the Indian Air Force. I quote Air Marshal P.C. Lal, who said, "The MiG-21 gave the IAF wings it never had before." Unquote.
Thousands of our Air Force professionals have shared an important part of their lives with the MiG-21, and I am proud to be one among them. We respectfully remember those who taught us the aircraft to learn and to respect it. I recall the camaraderie and memorable time that we nurtured under its wings, that reminded us often that it is the team that matters.
The jet first saw action in 1965 war, but its true moment came in 1971. In the Battle of Boira, MiG-21s engaged Pakistani Sabres and a starfighter, scoring victories in the world's first supersonic dogfight. From striking enemy airfields in Dhaka to providing cover for troops, the MiG-21 proved decisive in securing the skies. Former Chief of the Indian Air Force, Air Chief Marshal P.V. Nayak recalls the role the MiGs played in protecting the nation.
MiG-21 has always been my first love. And in the MiG-21s, the Type 77 Ultimate, the Ferrari of MiG-21s. I was lucky. We were about 3 or 4 people who were selected from pilot officer days to convert onto MiG-21s and fly them.
We fell in love with the aircraft as soon as we reported in Tezpur, the simplicity of the aircraft, and not only that, we were surprised. The checks and procedures were, simpler than the aircraft we had flown previously, easier to learn.
Decades later, in Kargil, Upgraded MiG-21 Bison struck enemy positions at high altitudes. And even in 2019, during Balakot, they stood ready at the front line.
The MiG-21 taught us how to be innovative, to make do with what we have and produce results.
For more than 60 years, the MiG-21 flew countless missions guarding borders, supporting troops and inspiring generations. Today, the Flying Falcon bows out. Replaced by homegrown Tejas, its roar may fade, but its spirit of speed, skill and sacrifice will forever echo across India's skies. Vishal Barristo, DD India, Chandigarh.
In sports news, Sri Lankan skipper Charit Asalanga won the toss and opted to bowl first against India at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium in Asia Cup. The game is inconsequential in terms of the tournament as the final clash has been decided as India is taking on Pakistan on Sunday. The match also gives the men in blue a low-pressure opportunity to test themselves. India has rested Jasprit Bumrah and Shivam Dube for the clash and has brought in Harshit Rana and Arshdeep Singh in place of them. Sri Lanka, on the other hand, has started the tournament quite superbly but has had a couple of bad days in the Super 4 round and as a result has been out of the tournament. Farooq Higher Secondary School from Kerala scripted history at the Ambedkar Stadium as they clinched the junior boys title of the 64th Subroto Cup International Football Tournament, defeating Amenity Public School in a thrilling final. In a neck-to-neck contest, the Kerala side held their nerves to complete their dream run and lift the prestigious trophy. Here's more.
Farooq Higher Secondary School from Kerala etched their name in history at the Ambedkar Stadium in New Delhi, clinching the junior boys title of the 64th edition of Subroto Cup International Football Tournament. In a pulsating final, they defeated Amenity Public School, CBSE, by 2-0. Takhelamba broke the deadlock in the 20th minute before Adi Krishna sealed the contest in the 62nd minute, sparking jubilant celebrations for the Kerala outfit. The grand closing ceremony added to the spectacle. Air Chief Marshal AP Singh, PVSM AVSM, presented the coveted trophy to the winners. He was joined by Olympian and Indian shooting star Divyansh Singh Panwar, who graced the occasion as guest of honor.
पेरेंट्स देखते हैं, नए बच्चे देखते हैं, वहीं जाके उनको थोड़ा सा अंदर से ऐसा एहसास होता है कि मुझे भी यहाँ पे प्रेजेंट होना चाहिए. डेफिनेटली अगर बच्चों को ग्रास रूट लेवल में उनको एक सपोर्ट मिलेगा या फिर उन्हें कोई देखेगा तो वो क्यों नहीं ऊपर उठना चाहेंगे, वो जाएंगे भी और उठेंगे भी.
हमारे कम से कम 25 से 30 बच्चे ऐसे हैं जिन्होंने एक ज़माने में सुब्रोटो की टी शर्ट पहनी थी और वो आज इंडिया की टी शर्ट पहन रहे हैं. तो आई थिंक सुब्रोटो हैज़ डन जस्टिस व्हेन इट कम्स टू फुटबॉल इन आवर कंट्री.
This year's edition saw as many as 75 matches played across 4 venues in Delhi, from Ambedkar Stadium to Pinto Park, highlighting the scale of India's most prestigious school football tournament.
The 64th edition of Subroto Cup Under-17 boys concluded in grand fashion in New Delhi, with Kerala taking the trophy. This tournament not only showcased the skill and passion of young footballers, but also highlighted how deep the Indian footballing talent is. With cameraman Rajkumar Singh, this is Meher Raj Singh for DD India, Delhi.
American tennis star Coco Gauff advanced to the round of 32 at the China Open with a commanding straight sets win over Russia's Kamila Rakhimova. The defending champion claimed a 6-4, 6-0 victory in her first match since the US Open. Showing strong defense, Gauff saved several break points and dominated the second set with ease. The 21-year-old will now face Canadian Leila Fernandez in the next round, promising an exciting clash between two rising stars of world tennis. That's it then in this edition of DD India Live. But do share your thoughts with us on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.
वर्क फ्रॉम होम, हाई सैलरी, बस एक क्लिक में। अरे वाह!
अनजान लिंक्स पर क्लिक मत कीजिए। RBI कहता है
जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए।
Many cities in India still carry forward the wonderful legacy of a glorious past. These ancient cities were once center for power, culture and religion. Revisit them in our special series. Forever Cities starts with Patliputra on Friday, 26th September at 8:30 p.m. IST.
Welcome to Kumarakod, Kerala, God's own country.